Hello and welcome to Warcraft Daily for today, the 27th of August 2013. So in today's news we have some words on the Hearthstone EU beta, some WoW interviews, and finally we're just going to round off the show with some blue tweets. So the first thing is indeed the Hearthstone EU beta, and I have bad news, everyone. Unfortunately it seems like the beta is quite a bit off yet. They released a thing on their site saying it's nearly here, so everyone was like, holy shit, it's nearly here. But then we actually read the thing, and two keywords came out of it. The first one was a phrase, and it was in a few weeks, and the second was soon. So it's coming soon in the next few weeks. Now, in Blizzard terms, it's probably like 2 weeks to a month. It kind of sucks that the Americans got an extra 2 weeks on us, especially for YouTubers who kind of want to do things when it's relevant. Poke Blizzard, grr. So yeah, that's a thing. Now, as to why this is happening, some people say it's localization. I can't really see that being it. And then others are saying payment is the problem, like getting it set up with the different currencies. Honestly, I think that if they had so many payment issues, they just should have waited and released the beta at a time where everyone can jump in, instead of keeping half of their player base essentially sort of hanging. And I don't know, is this like some way to build up hype from it? You know, make the Americans feel special because they have the beta, make all the Euros feel kind of jealous and hyped for it because they can watch streams and stuff. It could just be a part of an elaborate marketing campaign. That said, so many people are left out of the beta in America that that's probably not something that would hold up under scrutiny. But yeah, we have a few weeks yet, unfortunately. Now let's move on to the next thing. In some brighter news, we have WoW interviews, and these are pretty good. So firstly, these were like Gamescom things. Anyway, the first thing is they said an item squish is really likely for the next expansion. That would be sort of compounding down all of our item levels, so it's a little bit less ridiculous. I mean, we're getting 556 gear. That's a big number. So yeah, the system that they have is currently in internal testing, but they haven't actually released what system. They've been talking about a whole bunch. I think one of the big ones they were talking about was mega damage, so instead of doing 100k damage, you do 1 mega damage. It's really just a way of making the numbers more manageable. We don't know what they're doing yet, though they haven't really indicated. Now next, they said the Timeless Isle will hopefully combat the idea of something not being worth doing unless there's a quest mark there. I think this is definitely a problem in the game, and I've covered it so much in the last few episodes that I'm not really going to talk about it, but you pretty much know my thoughts on it. It's a pity, and it's just the way that the game design has led the game. Thankfully, though, with less dailies and more freeform stuff like the Isle, it should get better. Now next, they said that in-game things that are sold on the website... in-game things that are sold on the website, like now, currently, will perhaps, between 5.4 and the next expansion, end up in an in-game store. Now, I have a number of problems with this. Like, first of all, keep these things on the website, whatever, I don't care. But you see, when you bring them into the game, you're making it a far more active monetization. And I know that they say it's a convenience thing, but at the end of the day, it's breaking the immersion of your game if every time you walk around, you have this button here saying you can buy this mount, you can buy this pet. It kind of breaks the... I know breaking the fourth wall is not really a thing I was afraid of doing, Harrison Jones, but I just think it's a little bit too pervasive, too... I don't know, I think it's sneaking in a little bit too much. Now, we do have some further good news, but I'm not really sure. Now, the good news is that they said that in-game things, cosmetic items like the helms, they sold well, but they probably won't be sold again. And then the next thing is they said that instead they're going to do more fun stuff that doesn't compete with dungeon gear. Now, the reason for this is these helms actually go well with some like other sets in the game, which means that from a visual perspective, they sort of compete with dungeon gear in a way. And I guess Blizzard wants something that's premium to be basically like a fun Halloween costume, something like that. That's the specific example they said was a fun Halloween costume. I think that's a good way of doing it. It's better than these helms because at the end of the day, the helm looked like something that very well may just drop from a dungeon somewhere. There was nothing that was specifically extra fun or special about it. So yeah, I think that's a better way of doing things. Now next up, they said that the Pandaren were more controversial than expected. Honestly, I thought that they would be quite controversial, but the Blizzard would flesh them out because they were already pre-established in the lore, and I think they did a pretty good job of it. Now we have some other stuff. This was, well, I kind of read it in MMO Champion, and a great guy by the name of Po2988, I think. No, yes, something like that. Tipped me off on this. They have increased the size of their team by 40%, and another 40% increase is planned, meaning that the WoW team is going to be like nearly double what it used to be. I don't know, when it used to be, maybe a year ago or whatever. This is good. They said eventually they like to do annual expansions. That's very good because we're getting constant changes of scenery. As long as they're not, if you're doing an expansion every year and you're charging $29.99 in pounds or $40 or whatever, I think that's maybe a little bit too much on top of the subscription. If they are yearly expansions, they probably wouldn't be as big as a full expansion, and therefore I think they should maybe be a bit cheaper. And actually, I think one of the barriers to entry that WoW has is, you have to buy the battle chest, you have to buy Cataclysm, you have to buy Mists of Pandaria, and you have to buy your subscription fee. And because you can get up to level 85 in 2 weeks easily, 2 or 3 weeks, you're asking people to drop a lot of money in a 1 to 2 month period. And it's not just that it's a lot of money, but it's just so many combined transactions that are bombarding the person, and in their head is constantly money, 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 I'm spending money. So yeah, don't make those expansions too expensive or anything. But yes, this is a very good thing for those of us who play the game. We're going to get more patches. They said stuff about monthly patches. I think that's great. It's going to keep people in the game. So yeah, good stuff. Now, the next thing they said is that Diablo 3 was actually the game that had the most impact on WoW, not other MMOs. Of course, as we know, I think Aeon was supposed to kill WoW, the Old Republic was supposed to kill WoW, Rift was supposed to be better than WoW in every way and also kill WoW, Guild Wars 2 was supposed to kill WoW, but no, what had the most damage on WoW's numbers was apparently Diablo. Apparently that's a thing that people still play. I jumped into it a few days ago and thought, this is fun, but why would I bother farming gear to get better gear in a game that doesn't have the sort of setup that Warcraft does? And then I thought, yeah, well, I'm done till the next expansion comes out for it. So yeah, there you go, Diablo 3 affecting WoW, who'da thunk it? Next up, they said that WoW and Hearthstone will likely be more connected in other ways than the Hearthstone mount. This is good, because the WoW people will instantly have sort of recognizable things in Hearthstone, and Hearthstone's a great game. It's pretty easy to get into, but it's probably got a lot of depth, as a lot of those games end up doing. Anyway, that's all that stuff done. Let's move on to tweets, and these are actually pretty good. So they said they would love to do the Battle of the Undercity scenario, and they'd also love to implement scenarios in leveling. Now, if you don't know what the Battle of Undercity is, it was removed from the game, and it was a part of the Dragonblight questline, where the guy who was responsible for all the gloop that killed everyone in the Wrathgate was hiding out in the Undercity. Sylvanas didn't know, so there's pretty much like an alliance raid in the Undercity. It's really cool, great questline, or great quest, and they'd like to do a scenario of it so the players who aren't in Wrath, didn't play the game in Wrath, get to see it, and that's great because it's a really fun bit of content. And they also said that they're actually currently concerned about the destruction of Theramore because they lost a cool place, and I actually would agree. Theramore was a really nice place to level. It felt like it's one of those places that had a great sense of place. You felt like when you were questing in the Dustwallow Marsh, Theramore was your home, your safe place. It felt like a good hub in the world, and destroying that, I think, is definitely a loss of a very cool place. So it's unfortunate. Next, they said they agree that those who didn't know the prior Deathwing lore, he sort of appeared as Rawr Dragon, and honestly, I know the prior Deathwing lore, and he still appeared as Rawr Dragon because his in-game personality, his in-game persona, had no depth. It's not just, the prior lore. You have to make sure that any manifestation of any character in the game has deep lore if you want the players to care about them. That is one of the reasons why people cared about Arthas. I know he appeared a lot, but you know what? When he appeared, you knew that guy. You knew the things he said. You knew some of the atrocities he committed, and stuff like that. So yeah, Blizzard, don't be afraid to push more lore into your characters in the actual game. At the end of the day, I know you're concerned about breaking up the gameplay too much, but in terms of questing, well-paced lore that's put in good locations only adds to the experience. And finally, they said that for Proving Grounds, they're not sure how item scaling will work out because some specs are a bit of a latent disadvantage because of the design of the particular Proving Ground. Honestly, I don't really know, and I don't actually think this even matters in the slightest. I mean, spec disadvantages, the Proving Grounds is pretty easy, let's just put it that way. Anyway, that is it for today's episode. Once again, we've continued the theme of running vastly over schedule. That's the nice thing, I guess, for you guys when I cover these different interviews and things. I kind of say what Blizzard said and then give my thoughts on it, so it's more of an opinion-based show, which I think is a pretty good thing. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you like the show, please hit that like button and subscribe, and with that, I'll see you later.